You thought the Duke was a big controller? Child, please. Hello humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer, the gaming YouTube channel about retro gaming that is not hosted by a clickbaiting e-beggar. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about the Colecovision. You know, the Colecovision, to me, was a system that really transformed me from being a video game fan to being a true gamer. When I got the ColecoVision, I pretty much had the arcade experience at home. I wasn't gonna go hang out with those peasants at the Donkey Kong machine down the road because I had true gaming at home, right? And it's the first time my friends noticed that I would give up certain things that they found amazing for gaming, right? Like they knew that it was pointless for them to ask me to go drink or go smoke or whatever, because it wasn't something that I would choose over gaming. They knew if I had a new game, I wasn't going anywhere, right? They could come over to my house, but you know, I wasn't gonna move. And a couple of the games that I remember fondly was Popeye. You know, Popeye, I love playing the cabinet machine, right? I used to watch Popeye as a kid, and just the game mechanics, you know, were pretty cool. Another one, and this one I played a lot at you know, this is a hamburger stand, but it was like, you know, there's always a good hamburger stand in town, a couple of good ones, and there's always that not so classy one, maybe, you know, the one that has the cheaper hamburgers. But they always had great machines in there, and they were always bootleg machines. You know, they were never originals. It was kind of like a mom and pop diner, and they had Mr. Do, another classic that I used to love playing. There was a machine at 7-Eleven in my town, and there's always one, right? But this machine was famous for getting hacked, right? With the straw, they would these guys knew how to pump credits into it, right? So they'd be there all day. There was no way you could play that machine once he found that out, right? Like I would play it a couple of times, and then once he discovered that, there was just no going back to that machine. So when I got Donkey Kong Jr. at home, oh man, finally I got to play the machine, right? And something else I would do, but the first one, okay? The first game that I was like addicted to, that I was able to get in a home console besides Donkey Kong, because Donkey Kong was sort of like the pack-in with the ColecoVision, was Time Pilot. Man, I dumped so many, and I mean so many quarters into this game when I could find it, right? Not a lot of places had it. Usually I had to go to the arcade to play it. You know, I remember that a shop down the street used to have it for a while, and they only had it for a couple of weeks. Man, and I really love that game. I love the whole premise, right? You're traveling through time. You're in this fighter jet, you know, and you start off, you know, back in the 1910s, and you progress, right? Little by little, you're going up and going through these screens until you get into the future, and then you're fighting spaceships. I mean, it was just awesome, you know. I just love flying and blowing up the bigger ships, you know. And when I got this at home, man, I mean, I was like, I remember when I knew that this was coming out, I was like, I was losing my breath, right? I was like getting super anxious, right? And then it comes out, and then I have it at home, man. And let me tell you, I spent many hours playing this game, you know, as well as Saxon, but for me, it was really having the arcade experience at home, or as close to it as you could at home, right? And then on top of that, it was like you were in this elite club of players, because everybody else had the 2600, right? Everybody else had Intellivision, but neither of them could rival the ColecoVision, right? This is pre-NES, but before the NES, I mean, for many of us, this was the king, right? The other thing that I always, whenever I, you know, as I got a little older and people started complaining about the Duke controller when the original Xbox came out, I was like, child, please, that is not a big controller. Man, when I first saw this, it reminded me of like a phaser from Star Trek or something like that. But man, I had so many great memories with that ColecoVision, and I ended up breaking like 3 of them. I was lucky enough that my mom used to work at Montgomery Wards, but I would play these machines until they broke. Like they just stopped working. Like I would burn them out. I would be that playing for that many hours on these machines. If I wasn't at school, I was playing my ColecoVision. That's the only 2 things that would happen. Girls were to the side, just nothing else. It was just ColecoVision and me. It was my best buddy. It was my my relaxation, my hobby. That's how I would de-stress. You know, I mean, it just meant so much to me to have that machine at that time. You know, when you start becoming a teenager, you know, you go through a lot of things, and especially for me, it was really difficult, you know, because I was, you know, changing cities, moving a lot, and you know, it wasn't the best neighborhoods that I was living in either. So, you know, this machine, you know, as long as video games in general, really kept me out of trouble. My love for video gaming prevented me from doing a lot of things, you know, because usually idle hands, right? The devil knows what to do with them, especially if they have money, but I didn't have money because I would spend it all in video games, so I couldn't afford the booze, I couldn't afford the weed, I couldn't afford any of these drugs that the kids were doing or my friends were doing, because I'd rather play video games. So parents, you know, don't be too hard on your kids if they want to spend all their money on games, because, you know, they're not going to have money for anything else. But anyway, I just wanted to reminisce a little bit about the ColecoVision guys, and you know, and man, I mean, I still get those kind of feelings today when I'm able to get games that I like. You know, the one thing, if you're a true gamer, those feelings never go away. You know, whether it's, you know, an old ColecoVision game or an Xbox game, an Xbox 360 game, a Wii game, if you find something new that really engages you and you love to play, that feeling never gets lost. And I hope you guys are still having those feelings too. Alright guys, so that's the episode for today. I'll see you next time. And remember, don't be afraid to be happy. Take care. I started getting strong. You could do reps with these, right?